every so often in life, like you kind of come upon these pieces of literature or like something of art that kind of just sticks with you. And it doesn't stick with you like in a like cheerful way, like, oh man, like that story about the rising to the occasion and becoming a great man. And it's always like motivating me to become better. There's some stories that are so fucking dark and so grim and so real that it just haunts you because you're like, fuck, like that's somebody's life. That could actually really happen. And that's what I read with Joe's Tomorrow, or Tomorrow's Joe, or Ashanti No Joe, however you want to call it. I was scouring the YouTube machine and I come upon this like boxing anime or boxing manga. I'm like, oh cool, I like boxing. Let me go ahead and read this because everybody's talking about it. It's like it's a masterpiece. It's so great. Joe's the man. Like my fire is burned to ashes. I'm like, okay, let me see what they're talking about. So it starts off like kind of kiddish, like most animes. Like the young hero is like a tragic figure. He's trying to grow and become somebody, and you start to see him as he progresses through his boxing career, and life keeps going on and on and on. And what you gotta realize is, as it gets towards the end of the fucking show, spoiler alert, yeah, this motherfucker committed suicide by boxing. So I'm like, hold up a second, man. What the fuck did I just read? So I've been addicted. I read this shit like 6-7 times. Went over the last panel over and over and over again. And I realized, oh my God. I just watched like a young boy who started off as boxing like 12 or 13, started his career at 16, 17, and died at 23. And essentially he came to a decision. And this is what's so graphic about it, because it's so fucking real. It was made in the 60s. And you think there's a little bit of jokes and stuff like that, but it's like, no, dude, the whole time it's just graphic. It's just graphic and fucking tragic. And you realize the horror of what boxing truly is. Like the true essence of boxing, which is you get hit in the head for a living, for entertainment for other people. That is a fucking job. That is an occupation for somebody. And back in the day, they were fighting like every month. It wasn't like today's age where they fight 3 times a year. Like the modern boxer is nowhere near as beat up as the guys back in the day. Back in the day, they were fighting like 2 or 3 times a month, nonstop. They would fight because like there was no money to be made from pay-per-view. There was no sponsorships. It was like you get paid to show up to go fight. So if you don't fight, you don't get paid. And like they were looking for like stylistic fights where like they want to see sluggers and brawls. It was just a gruesome time period. And so this young boy, he kills his friend or whatever, and he gets to the fight. And about halfway through the thing, when you go back and reread it, you kind of realize the motherfucker's punch drunk. And so by the time it gets to the very end of like his last fight, which is like for the world championship, he's already like pretty much done. Like his career is already finished. And he's like, why are you gonna fight? You're gonna die or become a cripple. He's like, so what? He's like, you have no right to tell me what I can do. He's like, I'm gonna go out. I want to fight my career out until I have nothing left to give. I literally want to die in the ring. That was his. Like, that's how he wanted to go. Because he was an orphan boy. He had nobody to care for him. No parents, no love. His only usefulness in society, the only thing he was ever good at was fighting in the ring. It's the only thing he received any type of praise for or any type of admiration. It's the only thing he ever learned that he happened to be good at. And he said, you know what? Rather than retire and suffer for the rest of my life through being a punch-drunk person, I'd rather just die in a blaze. In my life, in the rain, doing what the only thing I know how to do. Good. And it's really just a sad fucking story. Like, it's like, you would think it's like there's some happy ending, and like, no, there's no happiness in that whole story. It's just tragedy after tragedy after tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. You realize, holy shit, this whole shit is just tragic. There was no like happiness. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, I can't stop rereading it because I'm just like, dude, I got to desensitize myself to it because if I let it sit around and linger in my mind, I'm going to go crazy. Because I just watched a story about a young kid committing suicide through boxing, man. God damn it. It made me look at combat sports a little bit differently because I'm just like, dude, every time you fight, there's something getting taken away from you. And like his last like 4 or 5 fights, he kind of realized people like the guys started getting scared to fight him because they realized, like, what are you fighting for? There's no way you can win. Like, why are you still fighting? Why are you still getting up? And Joe made it like in his mind. Joe decided, my goal is to die in the ring. So don't stop the fights. Don't throw the towel in. You say if you throw in the towel, I'm gonna kill everybody in the fucking thing. Let me go out on my shield. Let me die here because that's the only place I've ever had any type of worth. Tragic ass fucking thing. Very gruesome. Very just gruesome. Gruesome and just dark. Very dark. Especially when you add the art to it. 60 was a hell of a fucking place, man. Hell of a fucking place.